What's up, gang? It's Chris Angel coming at you for you know what. That's right, another episode. One more episode. In fact, this is episode 240 of Marketing for the Rest of Us. So I want to talk about tonight the sacred wound. I was listening to, of all things, a Robcast. You know that I love the Robcast. Shout out to Rob Bell. And he was interviewing somebody today. His name was Alexander. And Alexander used a phrase, the sacred wound. And years ago, I took had a coach named Jeffrey Van Dyke who talked a lot about tribal marketing. And in the coaching, Jeffrey points to, in life, we have a wounding. And that wounding is actually a pattern with our tribe. In other words, how we've been wounded is often how our tribe has been wounded. And if we can see it, if we can look deep enough, that very wounding is the thing that has prepared us to lead. It is the thing that allows us to lead others out of their wounding. But there is this thing that until you see that wound as a sacred wound, until you see that wound and its redemptive qualities, you will miss its power. You will miss the strength. You will miss the purpose in it. In fact, the very ability for you to lead your tribe is because you have been through what you've been through. Most of us, however, go through hard times and we actually make that mean that we're not there yet, or we're not good enough, or we're not ready to lead. Do you see, you think that your qualifications to lead come from your successes, when in fact, the qualification for you to lead comes from your wound. The qualification for you to lead does not come from your successes. The qualification for you to lead comes from your wound. And that you have been able to see that wound for the lessons it taught you. Now, if you haven't seen the lessons it's taught you and all you do is live in the shame of that wound, then you're not ready to lead. It is when you can step out from and get above the story of that wound and the shame of that wound or the pain of that wound and see it for what it was, to see it for what it taught you. In that moment, you become qualified to lead others, not because you have all the answers, but because you're able to set them free. How do you set them free? You don't set them free because you have all the answers. You set them free because you see the wound for what it is. You see the stories you built around the wound, which are separate from the wound. There is the wound, and then there are the stories you create about the wound. And once you can separate the story from the wound, you now have freedom. You are now free of the stories. So what does this have to do with marketing? Well, in marketing, I've said this so many times now, marketing is a conversation you choose to lead in the world. And the conversation that most of you choose when you're very tuned into your purpose, the conversation you choose to lead in the world often comes from the things that sacred wound have taught you, right? So in other words, you're going to go out and lead a conversation in the world about nutrition or about healing or about activism or about whatever. And many times other people can't follow you until they get out from under the shame and pain of their own wound. Until they see their wounding as sacred, until they see the redemptive qualities of that wound, they won't be able to follow. They want to, but they won't be able to rise because they're stuck under the shame. And that is where in your marketing you get to begin to point to and shed light on that the wound is sacred. And when you do that, you set people free. And when people are set free, you can lead them to where they want to go. Okay? So that, my friends, in a transformational conversation, in a transformative context, that is marketing. That is marketing. And again, this is why when you do marketing this way, you can leave the world better than you found it. There are so many people in marketing who just try to make a sale. It's about them making a sale. They want to sell you. But for those of us who have a business that is about transformation, that has a business that wants to lead people to freedom, whatever that freedom is, right? Whatever the service is of freedom that you provide, then you actually get to do marketing that sets people free. You get to do marketing in such a way that leaves the world better than you found it. Why? Because the message of your marketing is such that you're shedding light on the sacred wound and showing them how to be free. You're separating them from the story of their wound from the actual wound. This is marketing for this tribe. For the rest of us, this is how we get to play the game of marketing. We don't have to figure out all the technology stuff. If we can figure out the how to set people free stuff, and then simply capture that perspective, that message through video and share it to the places we share it, now we have an opportunity to make a difference in the world through marketing. Thanks for hanging out with me tonight. If you'd like to learn more about how to lead a conversation in marketing, I have a 6-week program dedicated to that very thing. By the end of the 6-week program, you actually launch your podcast/show. It's not just a podcast. We put it on your YouTube channel, Facebook page. We can put it everywhere, right? But by the end of that 6-week program, you launch your show. You lead your conversation into the world. And I teach you how to do that, okay? If you'd like to do that, if you'd like to learn more about that, you'd start with a free video at groundswellmethod.com, groundswellmethod.com. On the last page of that video is an application button. You fill that out, it comes to me, and we go from there. Thanks for hanging out with me tonight. Here's to you embracing and leading from your sacred wound.